Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Wingman Wisdom. Today I'm going to try and provide a little bit of clarity, answer some emails, and respond to comments that have been made on some of the videos I have recently done. If you're new to the channel, welcome. A special welcome to you. Wingman Wisdom is it's a different kind of a YouTube channel than the other people in the YouTube universe. I'm a former campground owner. I have RV'd and camped and loved the great outdoors my entire life. And I have a different perspective than many of the people who do a great job, by the way, on YouTube. So if you'd like to hear an old guy's perspective, not that it is right, it's just my perspective, as well as some advice, thoughts, that kind of thing, Wingman Wisdom is for you. If this is your first time to watch one of my videos, I invite you to watch 2 or 3 or 4 more before you say, you know what? I like that guy. I like what he has to say. Or never mind, Wingman. Okay, first email is from the lady Lynn French. And Lynn, I got to tell you, coming into this thing, I kind of feel like you do, sort of. Lynn says, hello, Wingman. What has happened to good campground manners? My husband and I began RVing in the early 90s and have loved it over the decades and met many lovely people. Now, campgrounds are allowing riffraff and rumble rousers, I think she means rabble rousers, as well as permanent residents, and the atmosphere today is not appealing. We camp to get away from the noise of everyday life, but campgrounds are more like trying to read a good book outside in peace and quiet with every child in the school screaming and yelling around you. Screaming, drinking, music is played too loud, couples yelling and arguing. RVing used to be fun and a real adventure, but not now. Is this my imagination, or are you seeing it too? Like I said, I wonder what has happened to campground managers. Lynn French sent that in. So Lynn, I feel your pain. You got a lot to unpack here, but I'm going to try to give you some thoughts, things to think about. I, for 8 years, owned and was very actively involved in the day-to-day operations of a medium-sized campground here in Central Texas. And I loved almost every day of it. It was such a learning experience. One of the things that I learned going in was the dream that I have of owning a campground. It wasn't really a reality. I mean, I wanted it to be a reality, but what happened over the 8 years that I owned the campground, people, at least in my view, began to change. Camping and RVing has changed. I don't think that I'm alone. Let me know, do you think camping and RVing has changed in not just the last 8 years, but maybe in the last couple of years, and why that is? Maybe it's changed for the better. I don't know. To me, one of the reasons I sold is because it kept getting a little bit closer to that edge of me turning into not very nice. And I want to be nice. I think that camping and RVing is one of the greatest things that you can do. Do as a family. Do alone. If you can find that peace and quiet. Now, camping and RVing to me today in my mid-60s is different from it was for me when I was maybe in my 20s or my mid-30s. But I enjoy peace and quiet. People go camping for different reasons. And that's one thing that I think all of us have to accept in a campground. Not everybody's going to be like us, and that's okay. That the variety is the spice of life, they say. Well, in a campground, you're going to get lots of variety. Corporations have ended up buying lots of campgrounds, Lynn. Lots. They bought mine. Big corporations throw in big money to people that have worked very, very hard to build a business, and then they take over and they do what they do. Corporations make lots of money, and God bless them for doing that. But the attitude, at least I think the attitude of campers has changed in recent years. And the good news is that people will continue to want to camp and RV. The bad news is the days of the campgrounds, like when you and I maybe were younger, those are getting fewer and fewer, and I think they're going away. I don't think there's anything that we can really do to change that. That's the honest to God truth. I think that we are being so bombarded with this tsunami of messages. It's all about me. I want what I want. I paid for it, by God. I better get a lot of it. And I don't care about anybody else. And there's this prevailing attitude, I think, that is coming through the campgrounds. What can we do about it? I don't know. I think sitting back and doing nothing except complaining in a video or writing, expressing your frustration is one way of doing it, but that doesn't really change anything. I suggest that what we do is we take that feeling of frustration, and say, what can I turn this into in a positive way? If there's I got to be really good. Most of the time, I could see who was going to be a troublemaker, who needed a little nudge every now and then to kind of get back in and be a good neighbor in the campground. And what I would do is I would get in front of those things, in front of those situations with people, reminding them that, man, we are so glad that y'all are here. If you need some extra trash bags, let me know. My name is Alan. Make them feel welcome, but let them know I'm watching. We got a crew here that loves you guys, and we want y'all to have a great weekend. But quiet time really does start. For us, it was at 10 p.m. So you guys kind of schedule your deal. If we can be of any help, we're here to help make this the best weekend ever. And that was the way that I would approach things. And most of the time, that was all I needed to do. Not always, but most of the time. It was hard for me as I got closer and closer to selling the campground. I felt like they call the campground Nazi. Don't do that. Pick up the big dirty. You need a plastic bag. Keep the dog on a leash. Hey, don't run through that site. I found myself feeling this like a campground Nazi. And nobody wants to go camping with a campground Nazi. So when the guy came in and he says, look, I'll write you a check and we'll take everything over, my wife and I looked at each other and said, okay, now's the time. So again, Lynn, thank you for your email. Thank you for your concern. This ain't the early 90s anymore. And I don't see things getting a whole lot better. Now, hopefully, if the economy kind of continues to be on rocky ground like I think it is, there won't be quite as much pressure in campgrounds, but being on our best behavior is really important. I really suggest everybody. This is the way I finished every one of my videos about don't leave your good manners at home. Sometimes I wonder if people had any good manners to begin with, but good manners are important. Being respectful of others and not expecting everybody to be just like you are or just like I am. I think that's an important frame of mind to be in. Let me know what you think. All right, so Jeff wrote in, and this is from the Camping World video I did recently, where I mentioned the Good Sam ESP, the Extended Service Protection Plans. It's not a warranty. It's a kind of a maintenance plan, if you will, kind of maintenance insurance. But the Good Sam ESP is something that most people, I think it's way over 50% of people that buy their RV through Camping World are sold a Good Sam ESP. I don't like them. I think they're very overpriced. I don't think you need them. I think that you can self-insure for a whole lot less money, but the people at Camping World will try to convince you that the only person to not buy the ESP, the Good Sam ESP, is an idiot. So Jeff writes in, he says, when a buyer finances his ESP, is it considered paid off? Suppose the buyer finances a camper for 5 years, but sells it after 2. He would have paid off 40% of the loan, but does that mean he's only paid off 40% of the ESP? In other words, he's paid for only what he's used with no additional reimbursement will be forthcoming? What am I missing here? Here's the deal. An ESP, when you sign for your Good Sam ESP, Extended Service Protection Plan, it's paid for in full. If it's a 7-year, a 5-year, whatever your ESP is, Camping World is going to take that and you paid for it in full. So if you have a 5-year note and you have let's just say a 5-year ESP, you pay it off after 2 years. You can get the money back for those 3 remaining years. That's your money. Now, most dealers in Camping World probably will not tell you that. You know why? Because if they get to keep on all that money, guess what? That's profit for them. A very, very profitable item that Camping World sells. They probably make more profit on selling those Good Sam ESPs than they do on selling an RV. I can't prove that, but my gut tells me that's so. So again, you have a 5-year note. You pay it off in 2 years. You've got a 5-year ESP. You got 3 years remaining. You can cancel your Good Sam ESP if you do it the right way. You have to do it the exact right way, and you will get the money back for the unused portion, so 60% of the cost of your ESP. A link to how to cancel your Good Sam ESP is included in the description below this video. All right. This next one, Bobby B. Bobby B asks, is it legal to market and sell an RV or travel trailer as new after it was used at a show, poked and prodded potentially by hundreds or more years of use in just days? Legal versus ethical? I blame the manufacturer for many small damages that may have happened after the delivery to my dealer. Even if the price was lowered, the customer couldn't make an informed decision. He ended it with a question mark. Well, Bobby B, I am not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one on YouTube. I know the best RV lemon lawyer in the country and recommend him, but I'm not a lawyer, but I have a lot of experience. There is no perfect RV, and I'm not sure legally about dealers that use an RV as a show unit. You know, when people walk through the Hershey show or they walk through whatever the RV show is, that's a lot of traffic. Now, they're not using the toilet. They're not using the shower. They're not, it's not plumbed. They're not using a lot of things, but they are slamming doors and sitting on the dinette, and they're, sitting on the bed. They're doing all the cabinets, all these kinds of things. That is wear and tear. Now, should the dealer tell you that this was used as a show unit, a model? I don't know. I think they should. But shouldn't you as the consumer look around and go, man, these doors are, this thing ain't closing right. This thing looks like it's been slept in, lived in for a couple of weeks. You have a responsibility to look. If they're not legally responsible, if they don't have to tell you something, they're probably not going to tell you. Now, you can ask, how long have y'all had this RV? When did it show up? And they'll have literally a log. They can tell you, well, it's been here, got here on March 29th or whatever, and they'll tell you exactly when it got here. A good dealer, I think, that if you ask for a copy of the PDI, which is the pre-delivery inspection, I think a good dealer will give you a copy of the PDI. Have they done a make-ready? If they did, they had to have some kind of a punch list, right? Things that they had to fix and tighten and adjust and just to make the thing ready. I think that you need to ask about that. And if the dealer says, well, we hadn't done a make ready yet until the thing is getting ready to be sold, well, that kind of tells me something right there. Wouldn't you think that a dealer would want to make the thing ready, at least most of the way ready, before just sticking it out there? But I hear a lot of people say, well, the dealer says, well, we're not going to do a make ready until it's completely sold. I disagree with that, but ask questions. You have all the power as a buyer, all of it, before you sign on the dotted line. Once you sign on the dotted line, I swear the dynamic is going to be different. If you've ever bought an RV from a big dealer especially, but if you've ever bought an RV, drop a comment below. Did the dynamic change the moment you left? I bet it did. Maybe not always in a bad way, but sometimes it's like, what's your name? I was just there 2 weeks ago. Let me look you up. Anyway, I hope that helps, Bobby. I would, again, ask to see records, if there are any records, any warranty issues, because a good dealer will go through everything. I work with dealers that will go through, and it may not be 100% make ready, but pretty dang close. And if there are any warranty issues or recalls or anything on that RV, those good dealers will contact the manufacturer and fix them before you even look at the RV. So hopefully that will help you. If you have a question or a comment, you can shoot me an email like Lynn did, or make a comment down on this video. I promise I read every comment. I listen to every voicemail. I read every email that comes in, and I respond to as many people as possible. Thank you to each and every one of you for taking a few minutes. Spend your time with me. I'm grateful like you can't imagine. My goal is to hopefully help you to think. Not necessarily think like me, but think on a macro scale, as well as on a personal level. And I think that the more we can think and try to have empathy for other people and understand where they're coming from, whether they're a newbie RVer or an old, curmudgeon like me, the more we can understand other people and work together, we can find some kind of common ground. Campgrounds are never going to be like the Andy Griffith Show and Living in Mayberry, not anymore. But we can kind of move them in that way, I think. If we all try to find common ground with people, especially, I think it's especially, especially those that we don't necessarily agree with. So thank you again for watching. Please, if you like this kind of video, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, share it on social media with your RVing family and friends. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.